Hello there, loyal viewers, and welcome to this yeah, all four of you, and welcome to this week's edition of TeenMOP, which is quite a special edition, shall we say, as it's part one of our Queensland election coverage. I'm Left Wing, and with me today is Right Wing.
Hi!
And that's about all, I'm afraid. You see, we're in a rather special place, Right Wing, aren't we?
We are in a very special place, Left Wing. We are in a rundown circus in Traralgon. Over there, Left Wing is the ringmaster for today.
Thank you very much.
And Right Wing is myself. I am playing the clown.
As you do.
Now, we do believe that the three other scheduled players, being Centre Right, the Average Teenager, and GC1, Guest Contributor 1, have both gone to undertake training to become cheapskate hypnotists.
They have, not both.
Both?
Doesn't matter.
No, sorry. A little bit of a grammatical error. These things will happen. But we decided that we'd make the most of our opportunity of not having the others here with us, and start our Queensland election coverage with a little bit of a state of play, the way things stand, who are our main players, and an introduction to those who may not know too much about Queensland politics.
Well, it seems we have a fairly busy show in a very short amount of time. Shall we begin?
I think we should. And I believe I'm in charge of the rundown.
I think you are.
And it's
go
good
right
because
ahead.
there's no time limit on me today. Yay!
Except you have to keep it short. So let's get going.
Right. Well, basically, let's put it simple. Before 2008, there were the major parties in Queensland were the Labor Party, and in a tall poppy syndrome type situation, the National Party were the bigger cousins of the Liberal Party in Queensland, until eventually they decided to merge to form the Liberal National Party, which was initially led by Lawrence Springborg, one of the great survivors of Queensland politics, then led by Mr. John Paul Langbrook, the member for Surfers Paradise, and now led by Mr. Jeff Seeney. However, in a unique situation, the former Lord Mayor, Mr. Newman, is planning to, shall we say, get into politics by winning the electorate of Ashgrove, and then immediately become the LNP leader, and hopefully for him, Queensland Premier. But how have we gotten to this stage? Well, I think we have to go back to the time of Sir Joby Peterson. Yes,
Here we go.
That's going back a long way. And the Minister for Northern Australia Regional Development was one Robert Carl Catter. Now, he's formed his own party now. He's split from the National Party a long time ago, 10 or 11 years ago, and he's formed his own party, and that'll be one of the big challenges. From Joby Peterson, a quick succession of national premiers brought in Wayne Goss, which started to breed the modern breed of Labor Party. And then in late 1995, in the seat of South Brisbane in the 1995 election, one Miss Anna Bligh was elected. She quickly rose through the ranks, and by 2004 was deputy leader to the former Premier, Mr. Peter Beattie. And then, when Mr. Peter Beattie decided to resign, Miss Bligh became the Premier. As for the LNP, there were Mr. Campbell Newman became Lord Mayor of the city of Brisbane in 2004, and became known as Can-Do Campbell, an enormously popular mayor, named by an international magazine as the fifth best mayor in the world.
He's not Premier yet.
No, he's not Premier yet. I'm jumping the gun ever so slightly.
Actually, excuse us, that was the bell.
Yes, I think that's the bell that says about 15 minutes until showtime. So,
oh dear. We best hurry up then.
Yeah, we better hurry up. And basically, Mr. John Paul Langbrook was doing pretty well until the floods boosted Anna Bligh's popularity. She did very well in the floods, I'm sure we all agree.
Yes. However, would you say... Well, what can you say? You have to get behind your... the politicians have to get behind the people at that time, so...
And the former leader of the National Party, Mr. Jeff Seeney, currently the member for the seat of Callide, however you want to pronounce it, is suddenly performed what I think my personal view was a backstabbing. I think it was an awful way to go about it, and said that I am now the leader, and Mr. Campbell Newman will become the leader if elected. It went against every convention in the book, but that's how we have to state of play in terms of the leaders, and not to mention Catter's Australian Party, led by the maverick member for Bow Desert, I would say, Mr. Aidan McClendon, formerly a member of the Queensland Party, and before that the National Party, the member for Bow Desert. So as it stands at the moment, the number of seats enjoyed by by each party stand thus. There are 89 seats in the Legislative Assembly, the sole party. Currently, Labour have 51 seats, and the Liberal National Party have 34 seats, while in other seats held, I presume, the Qatar's Australian Party has 2 seats, and other 2 seats are held by independent members. And this may be very interesting because the Liberal National Party will get very close, and it could come down to Qatar's Australian Party, Aidan McClellan, the member for Bow Desert, Shane Nuth, the member for Dalrymple. And it could all come down to that party, and of course they're a bit of a controversial party in more urban circles, Qatar's Australian Party, with their gay marriage advert. But in terms of North Queensland, they are immensely popular. They have been since their formation. A lot of the members have, well, when I say a lot, 2 members from those seats have defected into the party, and they are some of the safest seats in the state. So I think it'll come down to very close, and of course we will discuss the ad in part 2.
Yes, we'll discuss everything here in a lot more detail in part 2, as well as give our humble opinions on it.
And the Queensland election is on the 24th of March. The voting time's 8 till 6, Australian Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be very close. Will Campbell Newman win the seat of Ashgrove? Will Kate Jones hold on? If we look at some of the campaigns that have been doing, I think Left Wing will be in charge of that. But that's where we stand at the moment. Again, Qatar's Australian Party, very controversial in some of the urban parts and very maverick. He's been around for a long time, and before that his father, and he's got some pretty popular young candidates in some of those seats. So that's going to be a spanner in the works, I think, for the Liberal National Party. They won't win many seats, but they may prove to hold the balance of power. And that's where we stand currently. Left Wing?
Well, thank you for that rather comprehensive overview of the situation in Queensland. So really, the main thing I'm going to discuss is how the polling has been going so far. Now, this obviously is not the actual election yet. This is merely for the election.
Oh, you can't believe the polls.
No, you can't believe the polls sometimes.
But we'll try.
But we'll try. We'll try and include them in this. So it's been an interesting situation. Really, since the original election back in 2009, according to the statistics I have here, the ALP triumphed, though only by a small percentile on 2 primary preferred and also on the primary votes. But as it's gone on, well, there's been a substantial drop in popularity for them. It was for the Labour Party.
The Labour Party since the 2009 election.
Since the 2009
election. And of course, in the 2009 election, I believe the LNP, which had just been formed at the time, were led by I think it would be Lawrence Springborg. And at the time, Mr. Springborg, I think, said that would be the end of his career for him. He wouldn't be able to come back from this, the member for Southern Downs. And as it turns out, if Mr. Newman fails to win his seat, but the Liberal National Party win the election, which is another topic we'll be discussing in part 2, Mr. Springborg could well become the Premier of Queensland.
Yes, you were quite correct there. That was Lawrence Springborg who was in control at the time.
Long time he's been around.
Well, however, the primary voting and 2-party preferred has varied a little over recent polling. For instance, however, the majority of it, sadly in my opinion, but we're not on opinions this week, is that the LNP have got the majority of the vote and they will probably win. However, there has been quite a bit of Green support in the polls so far. And you would assume that would go to the ALP, wouldn't you? Rather than the LNP. But, look, it's still up in the air. And obviously, none of the statistics here are counting Qatar's Australian Party, which, goodness knows, could pull off quite an upset.
Well, what I'm on here is Qatar's Katter's election blog. Not Katter's election blog, what am I saying? Anthony Green's election blog. Sorry. And I'm just going back through the timeline of the Labor government and how they've had support. Look, when they first won, when they first won government, they were in quite comprehensively. But as happens to a lot of parties, their support dropped quite quickly. But they managed to always get it home, and now this is going to be a big test, I think, for the Australian Labor Party. The polls, as you say, you're right. The polls. Anthony Green says that the polls do seem to favour the LNP. But Newspoll in the Australian is reporting that Kate Jones does hold a slight lead over Campbell Newman in Ashgrove, which would be a huge spanner in the works.
It will be fascinating to see who takes that seat.
Yeah, definitely. And if I just reading between the lines, Mr. Green, Anthony Green, appears to say that that it may be possible that Campbell Newman will not win Ashgrove, and that will be a spanner in the works. That's going to be one of the big talking points when it goes to election. In a couple of weeks' time, we'll have another episode, of course, where we continue discussing everything to do with the Queensland election and debating certain issues from a subjective matter, not so much an objective matter.
So this has basically been our episode on discussing the facts itself. We'll actually have a true discussion and more opinionated viewpoints in our next coverage of the Queensland elections.
But of course we couldn't do that today because unfortunately our fellow members didn't... Hang on. Oh look, they're coming back. That's good.
Well, let's just wrap this up quickly
sorry.
before they come along, so that way we're all nice and steady for the next one. I'm left wing, that's right wing.
Sayonara.
Sayonara, and see you later.
Yeah, okay, alright. Now, just, you can turn the recording thing off.
Rightio.
Yep. So, how was the hypnotism course? What do you say? What do you say? Look into my eyes, you are growing weaker, let us entertain. What rubbish is this? Look into my...
Yeah, what are you doing?
Why are you saying all this stuff, this rubbish about look into my eyes, you are growing weaker, let us entertain.
Come on, that's just...
Look into our eyes, you are growing weaker, let us entertain more. This is starting to work, it's feeling a bit drowsy. Look into their eyes, we must look into their eyes.